Hi and welcome back. So after putting a flow together with get file and put file and making it work, I thought it was really good to take a step back right here and talk about, overall all the processors that are available to you. NiFi has over 188 bundled processors. That's only the processors that are shipped with NiFi. There are tons of open source projects on the web where people ship their own processor. So there's really a good choice out there. So there is no official way of categorizing processor, but the documentation categorizes it this way. And I just basically put the categories in here, plus some example of processor that I'll be talking about. Basically, the idea for me is to spark a few ideas out of you as I talk through the processors. So it's going to be a little bit boring, but hopefully it gives you some ideas what the range of possibilities are. So the first one is data transformation. So basically, you have replace text or jolt transformation JSON. The idea is you change your content of your flow file to something else. So for replace text, for example, you want to change US by USA, or you want to change US by United States, transforming your data the way you want. Jolt transformation JSON is more around you have a JSON document and you want to transform it into another JSON document. You apply a transformation by jolt. The second category is routing and mediation. So basically you see that you have a flow with A to B, but you can have multiple routes, and we'll see this later, but you can route on different things, on attributes or on content. So the easiest is to understand content. For example, if in my flow file there is USA, I will route it to this processor. If there is Europe, I will route it to that processor, and so on. You have also an option to control the rate, to make sure that the data only arrives at maybe 10,000 flow files a minute. And that's a way to manage your whole stability of your overall data flow. The third category is database access. So an example is execute SQL or put SQL. Basically, it allows you to just run remote SQL statements on a database. That database may or may not return stuff. It's up to you and what you do with it. But a cool idea is, for example, here you have your CSV with some financial data and you want to create a SQL statement and then you execute that SQL statement on the database. NiFi can do that for you. Category number 4 is attribute extraction. So evaluate JSON path, extract text, and so on. So for example, say you have a JSON and you have a country field in your JSON. You want to extract that country field to see about USA or Australia or France, whatever. And basically you would chain that with maybe a route on attribute to basically say if it's USA or if it's France or if it's Australia, go this way. So JSON path would be used for that. Same for extract text, you would use a regex. For system interactions, if you have processes on your computer that you want to be able to call using certain parameters, you can use execute process. So think of executing a Python script and so on. Data ingestion. So that's how you get data into the system. And we actually saw one of them, is get file. But you can get data from anywhere you want. It could be a file. It could be get FTP, get HTTP for the web data. So for example, an API, get HDFS if your data is stored in Hadoop. You can even do listen UDP and have people send data straight to you on the UDP port of your choice, or get Kafka if your data is in Kafka. For sending data, again, we've seen one of them, it's put file, but you have so many options like put FTP, put Kafka, even send emails, put emails, if you have a email server set up, of course. Then you have the way of splitting. So right now we have one flow file and all of these things create one flow file, but you can do splitting and aggregation. So for example, one flow file becoming many flow files. So say you use get file to read a CSV and you're interested into processing each line by line. You can use split text and you split by new line for a 50 rows CSV file to give you 50 flow files. You can do the same with JSON, XML, or alternatively, say you have 50 rows and you want to condense them into one file, you would use merge content, and then after they're merged, they're one flow file, you would use something like put file to write it to disk. HTTP. So NiFi has a lot of HTTP capabilities, and you can really set it up as an API. So you have get HTTP to fetch APIs, listen HTTP for basically getting HTTP calls to your server, or post HTTP to basically send data to other HTTP endpoints. So the possibilities are endless with that. And finally, it has really good integration with AWS. It can integrate with S3 for storing and getting objects. It can integrate with notification systems such as SNS, or even read from queues and put back into queues such as SQS. So that's a lot to take on, and I maybe went over 30 processors and there are like 188. So the best thing is for you to get an idea of what you can do with these processors and then research online. Which one do I want? How do I do it? The goal for you is to get to your desired state using a minimal number of processors, because each processor is going to be a CPU cycle, it's going to be a new flow file, it's going to be a little bit more burden on your system. But we'll get there together.